Hey everybody, welcome to another video on the Outdoor Generalist channel. Today I have two things on the table here that are seemingly unrelated and very incompatible. I have a pound of IMR 8208 XBR and a Flintlock black powder handgun. Now, these two things definitely do not go together. You would not want to shoot this with this, but I went into my local gun shop today because the owner had called me up and said that he had found a pound of 8208 XBR for me. He knew I had been wanting to buy one, but didn't want to pay the hazmat fee to have just 1 pound of powder shipped in. So he scrounged through his stuff and found me a pound that he had left over and was gracious enough to sell it to me at cost. So that was very nice. While I was in there, one of the guys that worked at a gun shop said, "Hey, I want to show you something." He knows that I'm in there fairly regularly and recognizes me, and we've had good conversations before. So he says, "Hey, I want you to take a look at something." And he brings out this Flintlock pistol here. And I got to looking at it and say, well, it looks like, you know, I can't tell what brand it is. I can tell it's missing a flint, but all of the moving parts seem to be in order. The frizzen will open just fine. The flash hole is clear. Notice that it is, and we'll get a closer look at this in a second, the front sight is crooked and is completely missing the rear sight. So I was looking over it, and he said somebody just dropped this off today. They didn't want it anymore because they had no idea what it was or how to use it. He said he wouldn't even fire the thing. He said, "Tell you what, I'll sell it to you if you want it." He had the pound of powder ready for me. He said he'd sell it to me. So I immediately thought, okay, he's probably going to throw out $100, and I'm just not going to pay that for this, since it is, and it's missing the ramrod. Doesn't have a flint. Kind of rusty, a little beat up. It's got some ding marks in the grip. But he said $40. So I couldn't resist. A gun for $40. I don't care what kind of gun it is. I don't care if it's missing pieces. I'm probably going to buy it. So I got it, and we have got a fun little project here to do. Let me set this aside because it is unrelated. And let's take a closer look at this. One of the first things to clue me in that this is probably not super old is there is a stamped serial number right here, and it's going to be really hard to see in this light, but there is a serial number on the barrel itself, and we'll get to that again in a minute. There's no other real markings on the outside besides there may be something right here around the hammer assembly, and there's some decorative engravings, but nothing really to tell me where this might be from. Let's pull it apart and see if we can figure out what's going on inside and maybe what we're dealing with here. My number one reason for pulling this apart is to just check the integrity of everything, make sure it's not rusted through on the bottom. And with metal that stout, I'm really guessing it's not rusted through, but we'll take a look. I have taken this apart one time already and figured out pretty quickly probably why there's this big old gouge right in here. And I'll show you that in a second. Let me take this screw out. Okay, that's our back screw. And then these two screws on the side plate. Okay, that one's free. And then this front screw. Be careful not to scratch stuff here, although it's pretty beat up anyway, but I don't want to scratch it any more than it is. Okay, we'll pull those out and set them aside. Now this piece of brass right here is just a cover plate. I did take it off earlier to look under it, but there's nothing accessible under there. That is just a cover plate. But what that loosens is this whole assembly right here. Taking a look at the flip side, the only, and it's probably going to be really hard to see here. Well, let me get a flashlight on it. The only marking that I can see on the inside there is the word Spain written in English. So that's interesting. You can see how the mechanism works. Try to do this one-handed. Got these 2 spots here. It's actually on full cock right there. The trigger presses up against this bar and drops that out of the way so that the flint can fall. Of course, I got my finger pinched there a little bit, but then it just catches at each one of those notches. That trigger bar is attached to that pawl that goes in there and keeps it from falling forward. Pretty simple mechanism, but it works. I do see a little extra rust and wear right here at the part between the flash pan and where it would sit up against the flash hole. So I'm guessing this thing has been fired. Ooh, and it needs some oil. That is screechy. Okay, inside here, there's really nothing special. You can see where the trigger actuates and lifts up that bar. That's all the trigger does. We could probably pop the whole trigger assembly out, but I don't think there's really any need to. Okay, to get the barrel out, I was looking over this and it looks like somebody got to this part, saw that you could lift up this a little bit and figured, oh, it's just stuck in the front. So they tried to stick something in there and pry it up, would be my guess. But there's actually a pin that goes all the way through the front, and it looks, I didn't know whether it was a wood pin or what at first, but I realize it's just a steel pin. And let me get a punch here for a punch-like object, and I will just push out the pin from this side. There we go. I'll try not to scratch stuff too much. There it comes out the other side. And you can see it is a steel pin. But once that comes out, the barrel lifts easily out of the grip assembly. All right, taking a look at this, and this is one gun I really don't care if you see the serial number on. You can tell by the underside, it's in much better shape on the underside. There's surface rust all over the top. Again, there is looks like a hammer struck Spain right here. And it's gonna be really hard to show up on camera, especially with this lighting. There. It's kind of faint, but I can tell that it does say Spain. That's really the only markings on it. Everything looks to be welded on there and then either filed or ground down. Shoddy weld work, but not terrible. None of it's going to be pressure bearing. And then we've got our octagonal barrel. Yeah, I can't really show you guys in there very well. But there is some, it looks like very shallow rifling and quite a bit of surface rust in there, but no major pitting. I don't see a bunch of powder gunk, so it looks like it was cleaned. And I can see clear through to the flash hole in the back, which does appear to be patent. I'm gonna stick just a bit in here real quick and just make sure that I can see it poking out in there. And sure enough, I can. So that's about it. This is gonna be a fun little project. First thing I'm probably gonna do is try to straighten this front side out. Chances are I'm gonna break it off when I do that, but it's worth a try. This probably isn't very old, like I said. From the looks of the workmanship, Probably isn't very old. I'm probably not going to destroy anything of great historical value by messing with it. It'll be a fun toy, something to play with, something to load for. Oh, I should probably see if I can figure out what caliber we need. I'm guessing 36 with a patch is going to be about perfect. It looks like about a 40 cal hole, but we can check that. About 45. I guess my eye was way off. It's 45 caliber. So I'm going to do some research on this. It'll be a fun project here for the channel, and we'll probably be seeing before too long if we can get this thing up and shooting. I am going to have to order some 3F black powder and some 4F flash pan powder, but there is a gun shop fairly locally, and I guess it's about an hour away, that stocks black powder. So I'll be looking to get some of that, and we'll try to get this old thing up and shooting. Thank y'all for watching. If you want to follow this project or see more on the channel, make sure you subscribe. We're going to have a lot more to come with this and other firearms. Have a good day.